Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India to kick off the world's largest election on Friday. Polling to be held in 7 phases over 6 weeks. G7 finance ministers pledge cooperation on Iran sanctions. European Union to impose new sanctions on Tehran. And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the country will decide for itself on how to respond to Iran's attack. Right, first up, let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. India is set to vote in the world's largest general election, setting the stage for a mammoth exercise in democracy, with nearly 1 billion people eligible to head to the polls across just over 6 weeks. Polling for the first phase will take place on Friday, that is 19th of April. Voting stations have been set up with training given to officials to ensure a seamless voting experience. Security personnel have also been stationed in all locations for foolproof safety. The 7th phase election concludes on the 1st of June, while the counting of votes is to take place on 4th June. "2024 is the year of democracy. During the past 75 years, the election process in India has evolved a lot. From ballot boxes to electronic voting machines, the Indian democracy keeps evolving. We take a closer look at how the electorate has changed over the years.
The first phase of polling will see 102 seats with 1,658 candidates in the fray. There are 969 million voters on the electoral rolls for the 2024 general elections across all phases. There has been a 6.25% increase in the number of voters since 2019, which stood at 912 million. How has the electorate changed over the years? Let's take a look at the demographics of the electors. Share of voters in total population is the highest in 2024. Voter population ratio varies across states. Lowest gender imbalance in the electorate. Higher share of first-time voters. The share of voters in the total population will be the highest in 2024. Elections over the years from 1951 to 2024 have shown that the electors as a percentage of the total population is rising from less than 50% in 1951 to 67% in 2024. The difference in the demographic profile of states shows a disparity in the voter population ratio. There are large variations. How has this changed over time? The numbers have increased, but in different magnitude. Undivided Andhra Pradesh showed a maximum increase of 16.5 percentage points, followed by West Bengal and Karnataka. Bihar has seen the lowest increase at 2.1 percentage points, followed by Punjab 3.9% and Rajasthan with 4.5 percentage points. The 2024 elections will see the least gender imbalance in the electorate. It was 910 in 1971. It went lower to 902 in 1991-92. In the 2019 elections, the gender imbalance was at 926, while in this election, it's at 948. Finally, the share of first-time voters is higher than what it was in 2019, but it is not the highest in India. There are 1.9% first-time voters in India, which when translated into numbers is 18.2 million first-time voters. The highest number of first-time voters was in 2014 at 2.75%. The percentage of first-time voters is the highest in Jharkhand at 3%, followed by Rajasthan with 2.9% and Madhya Pradesh with 2.8%. The lowest first-time voters are in Kerala and Maharashtra with 1%. This election could see many news. How the Indian voters adapt to changing times and challenges will be tested as India decides in 2024. Anil Thomas's report for DD India.
India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar delivered a special message to the voters, appealing them to go out and vote. He said that the Election Commission officials have worked hard over the last 2 years to make the voting experience comfortable and convenient.
My dear voters, we have arrived at a moment of great importance for each one of you, for all of us. It is also a precious moment for India. Let me share a few words. Elections are the most beautiful expression of India's democracy. Nothing like voting. ECI and lakhs of its officials have worked very hard over last 2 years to make your voting experience peaceful, comfortable and pleasant. Every polling station is on ground floor. They will have drinking water, washrooms, sheds, ramps, wheelchairs, help desks and volunteers to make you feel welcome. We will also deliver voter information slips at your residence. Please come to vote. Our request, our appeal, our persuasion. You will find our poll officials courteously waiting for you with a smile at polling stations. And voters who are 85 years or above or persons with disabilities can also opt to vote from the comfort of their homes. Friends, there is a talk about the summer heat. It is true. You and we should take all precautions. But I know the spirit of the Indian voter will beat the summer heat. In our great democracy, elections belong to you. The choice belongs to you. You are choosing your member of parliament. You are making the 18th Lok Sabha. You are deciding the government in the center and also in 4 states. You are doing it for your sake, for your family and children, for your village or town, and of course for the country. I am sure on your way to the polling stations and as you press the key of the voting machine, you will be conscious of this power and responsibility, both. India's track record of smooth, regular and high quality election owes to the people's judicious and enthusiastic participation. This time, the opportunity is yours to grab. Think about this. Everyone has the power of one vote under the Constitution. Father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi rightly observed, and I quote, "Understand democracy as something that gives the weak the same chance as the strong." Unquote. And never underestimate the power of your one vote. There are many instances when one vote has mattered in a critical contest. We will call these elections Chunav ka Parv, Desh ka Garv. We mean it. It is everyone's pride. We must keep our date with democracy. Friends, starting with tomorrow, I earnestly appeal to you to come out and vote. Get your family and friends to vote. Motivate everyone around you. Be our ambassadors and influencers. I call upon the youth to lead a revolution in electoral participation. Stand up, get counted, make yourself proud, go and vote. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Election Commission of India on Thursday issued a notification for the 4th phase of elections, which will take place on 13th of May across 9 states and 1 union territory. This phase will witness polling for 96 parliamentary seats across 9 states and 1 union territory, including Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, and Jammu and Kashmir. According to the poll body's notification, the last date for filing of nominations is 25th of April, and the scrutiny will take place on the 26th. Meanwhile, campaigning intensified for the second phase of elections to India's lower house, scheduled for 26th of April, covering 89 parliamentary constituencies across 13 states. India's Home Minister Amit Shah held a roadshow on Thursday at Sanand in Gujarat's Gandhinagar parliamentary constituency. The BJP workers gathered in large numbers along the route. He held another roadshow at Kalol in Gandhinagar. Minister Shah is the BJP candidate from the Gandhinagar seat. He'll file his nomination papers on Friday. Voting for all 26 parliamentary seats in Gujarat will take place in a single phase on the 7th of May. In order to garner support in favor of candidates, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is on a visit to Kerala, where he addressed a public gathering at Kannur. While addressing, Rahul Gandhi said the Congress and the UDF accept the diversity of India.
Party and the UDF accept the diversity of India. We accept the multiple languages, the multiple traditions, the different histories, the different expressions of all our people.
And still to come on DD India Live. The US reiterates its support for a permanent UN Security Council seat for India. US President Joe Biden calls for higher tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminium. And New Delhi hosts Indian Deaf Space Symposium 2024. Focus is on strengthening space domain awareness and satellite communications, as well as crafting a unified defense space strategy.
Tracking the first phase of general elections, Team Poll Pulse has reached India's northeast in Assam. This is the tea city of India, Dibrugarh.
They are
not getting jobs in the local area, like in Dibrugarh or nearby districts and all.
Home to the finest tea, the state is set for a cracker of a contest. This is 2024. Can the Congress and allies offer a fight back, or will the Modi juggernaut be unstoppable? Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
Will the Israel-Iran conflict blow up into a full-blown war in West Asia or the Middle East? Who killed the world's largest anaconda barely days after it was first discovered? Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST or 14:30 GMT on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. G7 foreign ministers will be discussing sanctions on Iran as they meet in Italy's Capri for a key meeting. The continued tensions in West Asia are dominating talks between delegates from the US, the UK, France, Italy, Germany, Canada and Japan. The sanctions are expected to target Iranian drone and missile programs.
We are friends of Israel and we support Israel, but we want de-escalation in that area. We all are carriers of this peace initiative. We will also have to address how to sanction Iran in some way for the attack with hundreds of missiles and the drone attack against Israel.
The foreign ministers of the Group of Seven cautioned on Thursday that Ukraine could face defeat by Russia if it did not receive additional air defenses. The G7 ministers began a second day of talks by discussing the West Asian crisis before turning their attention to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock expressed optimism about United States' support for Ukraine, something that her government has advocated for a long time.
In these turbulent times, it is a hopeful sign that there are now signals from the Republicans in the USA that support for Ukraine can be continued intensively. We have campaigned intensively for this. The Chancellor at the Congress, when I was there, as were many, many others time and again. And that is why, including the Minister of Defense and I, have jointly launched this initiative to ask ourselves once again what we can do together to protect Ukraine, but also to protect our European peace order.
The G7 meeting in Italy was also attended by Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, who further emphasized the need for additional air defense systems and missiles for Kyiv.
Today I came here mainly to speak about providing Ukraine with more air defense systems and missiles, and G7 has the capacity to do it. G7 has been making some extraordinary decisions. G7 is interested in defending the world that Ukraine defends against Russian attack. So all we have to do is to, make things happen.
On the sidelines of the G7 ministerial meeting, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called on supporters of Ukraine to maximize their efforts against Russia as he met with Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba on Thursday. Blinken emphasized the need for the U.S. Congress to pass a bill that would provide $60.84 billion to support Ukraine.
It is urgent that all of the friends and supporters of Ukraine maximize their efforts to provide with Ukraine with what it needs to continue to effectively defend itself against this Russian aggression. For the United States, that means passing the supplemental, the extra budget request that the President has made for Ukraine.
Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the G7 foreign ministers meeting in Italy, EU's top diplomat Josep Borrell stressed that European Union countries must send their anti-missile systems to bolster Ukraine's air defenses or risk victory for Putin.
We cannot only rely on the US. We have to take our responsibility and stop saying, oh, the US will do. We have to do. We have Patriots. We have anti-missile systems. We have to take them from our barracks where they are, just in case, and to send to Ukraine where the war is raging. And I'm sure we will be doing that, but we have to be done quickly.
The European Union's sanctions are expected to target Iran's unmanned aerial vehicles and missile programs. Earlier, this bloc took steps to prevent export of critical components used in the manufacture of drones. EU leaders have urged all sides to refrain from any action that may increase tensions in West Asia.
Attack launched by Iran against Israel, we have decided to put in place sanctions against Iran. This is a clear signal that we want to send. And we also want to do everything to protect the civilians. Each civilian life matters. We call on the release without any conditions of all hostages. We call on a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire.
Amid calls for de-escalation, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has said that Israel will make its own decisions on a response to the attack on it by Iran. He said that Israel will do everything necessary to defend itself. On Saturday, Iran launched a volley of drones and missiles at Israel in a first-ever attack from Iran on Israel's soil. The Israeli Prime Minister made the remarks as he met the foreign ministers of the UK and Germany.
I am coming now from meetings with the foreign ministers of Great Britain and Germany. Last night I spoke to British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and soon I will also speak to other leaders. I thank our friends for their support in the defense of Israel, and I say this both support in words and support in actions. They also have all kinds of suggestions and advice. I appreciate it. But I also want to make it clear. We will make our own decisions, and the state of Israel will do everything necessary to defend itself.
The United States has reiterated its support for reforms in the United Nations, including the United Nations Security Council, in reference to India's permanent seat in the UNSC. At a press briefing, U.S. State Department's principal deputy spokesperson Vedant Patel addressed the question of India not having a seat in the UNSC. Now, this comes months after Tesla CEO Elon Musk called the exclusion of India absurd.
The President has spoken about this before in his remarks to the UN General Assembly. The Secretary has alluded to this as well. We certainly support reforms to the UN institution, including the Security Council, to make it reflective of the 21st century world that we live in. I don't have any specifics to offer on what those steps are, but certainly we recognize that there is a need for reform.
Lauding the partnership with India, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has said the deal between the two nations to produce jet weapons in collaboration is revolutionary, underscoring that India and the U.S. are also co-producing an armored vehicle. Austin says that such joint ventures will enhance the capabilities. Austin's remarks came as he testified before a panel of lawmakers on the 2025 budget on Wednesday. The landmark jet engine deal was revealed in June of last year during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the US. To produce fighter jet engines for the Indian Air Force, General Electric and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited signed a memorandum of understanding. Earlier in 2023, General Electric announced that it had inked an agreement with HAL to jointly manufacture engines in India to power the fighter jets for the Indian Air Force. U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday called for higher tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminium while addressing steel workers at the United Steel Workers headquarters in Pittsburgh. Biden said that China was cheating in its steel trade practices and that the U.S. is investigating the Chinese government's practices tied to the trade of steel and aluminium. Biden pledged that U.S. Steel will remain a totally American company.
Promise you, and I'm not going to let that happen again. Look, right now, my U.S. Trade Representative is investigating trade practices by the Chinese government regarding steel and aluminum. If that investigation confirms these anti-competitive trade practices, then I'm calling on her to consider tripling the tariff rates for both steel imports and aluminum imports from China.
The Indian Space Association is holding a Defence Space Symposium in New Delhi for the next 3 days. It will see military officials, private industry players, academics and startups in the space industry discuss topics such as empowering military operations with robust situational awareness and reliable communication networks. Indian Navy Chief Admiral R. Harikumar credited India's scientists with making India self-reliant in space technologies.
Countless challenges, resource constraints and denial of technology, our space scientists have shown to the world that we have the will, wisdom and wherewithal to be the ace in space. In fact, our ability to execute missions successfully, our out-of-the-box technological solutions and cost-effective approach have created a beeline of the very same entities that would not allow us to be part of the club.
And going back to our top story on India's elections kicking off on 19th April, all arrangements are in place with adequate security deployment to hold free and fair elections in Sikkim on Friday in a single phase for its single parliamentary and 32 assembly seats. DD India's Gautam Roy has spoken with Sikkim Chief Electoral Officer D. Anandan in terms of preparedness measures. Take a listen.
Sikkim, Mr. Anandan with us. Thank you for speaking to DD India. Mr. Anandan, what can you tell us about the preparedness in terms of security and the polling arrangements for tomorrow?
Sikkim is going for simultaneous elections. The poll is tomorrow. We have elections for the Lok Sabha as well as for the Sikkim Legislative Assembly. We have one parliamentary constituency and 32 assembly constituencies. And under the guidance and the directions of the Election Commission of India, we have prepared made all the arrangements for tomorrow's poll, and all our men and materials are ready. In fact, all our polling parties have already reached the polling stations today. So we are hopeful of a very good turnout. Sikkim has always seen a very high turnout. Last elections it was around 82%. This time we are aiming to cross 90%. And if weather is good, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve it.
3 mute sisters of Dhadkai Panchayat, also known as a silent village of India of Doordarshan district in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, are enthusiastically preparing to cast their vote on Friday and also inspiring others to participate in a festival of democracy. Reshma Bano, Parveen Kausar, Saira Khatun of Dhadkai B Panchayat have become a source of inspiration for their neighbors and relatives alike as their spirit and enthusiasm to cast their franchise. Dhadkai B is located on the hilltop about 9,000 feet above sea level in Gando subdivision of Doda district. Nepal's 3-day-long Seto Machindranath Rath Jatra, or the Chariot Festival honoring the god of rain, ended in Kathmandu on Thursday. The Seto Machindranath is believed to be the divine that brings rain and is the god of good harvest. It's a traditional festival of the Newar people in Kathmandu Valley. During the festival, the statue of Seto Machindranath is carried up to Jamal Tindhara in a chariot and pulled around the core areas of Ason, Hanuman Dhoka, Jaisi Deval and Lagan. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.